Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again on another Thursday night. You know, we come to you right here live via StreamYard on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then we're also on Spotify, all the ones that's like scrolling across the bottom. That's where we are. You know where we at. But if you're watching and you're listening, I want to say thank you so much for your support, for everything that you have done throughout our seasons, and I really do appreciate it. So, like I said, once again, thank you. And thank you for tonight. Tonight, we have a special guest who is Marquis Lupton of the TCP network. And I'm going to let him kind of tell you more about what that is. It's very exciting, and to know that he's out here doing amazing things and some great things for his local community and abroad. And so, we're going to get him up soon. But you know how I got to do. I got to go over everything, right? So we got to what? Like, follow, and share. We got to like, follow, and share every platform that we on. So, it's a long thing, but hey, it works. It's good. You could do it. And so, like, follow, and share all our platforms where I just mentioned. And then we're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and the list goes on. And while you're there, definitely subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like and follow all of our pages. So I guess I am just tongue-tied tonight. I don't know what the deal is, but we're going to keep going. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to play a little bit of some sponsor information, and we'll be back with Marquis, okay? The According to Sacha Podcast show is brought to you today by Platinum Magazine, where you can find articles on love, relationship, and business. The editor-in-chief and founder is Tamika Johnson, aka the Matchmaking Attorney. To get your copy of the summer issue, visit www.platinummagazine.online. Entrepreneurship, small business, is something that everybody would love to do, making their own money. And this is what we will be talking about on According to Sacha. All right, you guys. Here is Marquis Lupton. Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Glad to be on.
Thank you. So everybody, I want you to make sure that you chime in tonight, ask your questions. When we have our professionals here, this is the perfect time to find out what you need to find out. You never know if you are aligned with your business and the things that you want to do. So here's the time right now to do that. And so, Marquis, there is one question that I love asking all of my professionals. Let me see if it's going to stump you. So tell me, who is Marquis Lupton?
Who is Marquis Lupton? First, he's a father. Second, he's a husband, and third, he's an entrepreneur. Fourth, he's a community member of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm a Morgan State graduate. I graduated Morgan State in 2011 with my master's degree in media management, and I got my undergraduate at Shippensburg University in journalism. So I'm a media guy through and through.
All right, wonderful. So you, Morgan State up in Maryland is where you graduated.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That was on my list of schools I was thinking about going to, but I ended up at Norfolk State. So
hey, look, it's never too late to go back.
I did everything. Look, I'm not going to be a career student. With all of that. I got the master's. That's it. I'm done.
Dig it.
But thank you so much for being on the show. So tell me, now, were you always interested in getting into journalism and media before you went to college?
Honestly, no. Funny story. I wanted to be a comedian. And my mom was like, I'm not sending you to school to be a comedian. And I was like, oh, all right. So then let me find the next closest thing to being a comedian. And that was being a radio personality. So I started off in college. And then after college, it was weird because I graduated from college in 2007, and that was like right when the economic downturn hit. Okay. So like there was like 2.5 years that I was a club DJ, and then I made a transition to Morgan State, and getting into journalism and being a news reporter, and then everything. People struggle.
All right. Yeah. So with the tracks, it's interesting. So you went from being a DJ into, being radio personality, and then you went to school, came out with your journalism degree. And so how long had you been working in like your field of journalism?
Well, I've been working in the field of journalism now for 12 and a half, going on 13 years.
Okay, wonderful. So what do you like best about it?
I'm a people person. I like to connect with people. I like to tell people's story. I like this part of journalism more, the entrepreneurial journalism part. I like that more versus the hard news. Again, I was a news reporter. I was a news anchor. I like doing it on my own terms versus being within the industry, because in the industry, in news, there's this thing called if it bleeds, it leads. So that just means that the most egregious, the most craziest stories get the most coverage. They're on the top of the newscast. So that's why you see a lot of death and destruction when you turn on a newscast, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, what have you. That's for a reason. That's by design. So I really didn't see myself being part of that wheel. So I really enjoy the stories that we're telling now, because we're telling the stories that are falling in between the cracks. We're telling the stories of the faces and places and people that won't typically get on the news when we're talking about people of color, especially when we're talking about Black people, when we're talking about people that look like you and I. I've been in newsrooms where the producer will and bypass mugshot after mugshot after mugshot just because the person or people don't fit this scary mantra. So again, now I really enjoy telling the stories of the people and places and faces that look like us, and news that you can use, not just the glamour and glitz, not just the sexy headlines or anything like that, but actual news that you'll rewatch because there's some nuggets of information that you can use.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that leads me to my next question, because we know we're going to talk about that network that you have, TCP network, the Culture Professional. So I saw where, 3 of you guys got together, fathers, and you really created a community within your media reach, and really displaying a lot of the news, like you said, out there in your community and so forth. So tell me a little bit about, why you did it. You already touched on some of it, but kind of going a little bit more. But then also, what's the purpose behind the name of the network?
Again, my radio background. I always heard the word urban, and that was one of the things that I always hated being in the radio industry, because I'm like, it's Black. Like just call it what it is Black. So when we were coming up with the name, we were like, well, this is for Black people, this is for brown people, this is for people of color, but I don't want to necessarily concentrate on the color aspect of it. I want to concentrate on the cultural aspect of it. So we were bouncing names around, and back in my freelance days, one of my frat brothers had a nightlife company called LITM, Living in the Moment, and I did some freelance work for them for sponsorships, and they identified Black up and coming professionals, brown up and coming for professionals, they identified them as cultured professionals. So as I'm writing these proposals, like I'm writing the word culture professional at least 50 times. And that term just always just stuck out. And then when it came time for me to create this podcast and to create this platform, again, the word culture professional just stood out. And it was like, you know what? I'm a sucker for acronyms. And it was like, all right, I don't want to call it CPC, CPO. And then one day it was like, you know what? Why don't I put the in front of culture professional, TCP?
All
There
right.
it is.
I love it. I love it. And then you're adding a twist to it because, like you said, you're removing that stigma of, oh, everything has to be urban. And then when you automatically think urban, you're going to think about the disenfranchised Black and brown communities. And so what you're doing, the culture part of it, it's like, we're going to raise this up another level. We're all professionals and we're going to highlight what we're doing. And in that, I know that you're everywhere. You're on YouTube, Roku, you got a podcast, radio station. And I'm just like, kind of just drawing back because it's really good to see that and that you're really, taking the realms and going forward with it. So tell me a little bit about, has it been a challenge for you to even set up your network and really to get out there and beat the streets with everything that you're doing?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's a challenge. It's a challenge every day. But the thing is, we have this moniker, trust your dopeness. It's a hashtag. And trust your dopeness, it's that little voice inside you that says that you can. Even though on the outside, it may look like it may not happen, trust that little voice within. And that's really what we try to mimic. That's what we really try to live by. When we talk about the inception of TCP, it is a embodiment of trusting your dopeness. I was doing work in Philadelphia, moved back home to Lancaster, PA, where I saw that there was just an absence of Black and brown media, especially in central Pennsylvania. So we decided to undertake this task. And again, the inception of it, I was an adjunct professor. And by little, each paycheck, I bought something different for the podcast station. First it started off with the microphone, little by little, bought one microphone, bought another microphone, because yes, I was an adjunct, but I was a part-time adjunct. So it's not like, the money was flowing in or anything like that, so right. Little by little, like the bird was making its nest, like that Kenyan proverb says. So that's really what makes me I'm proud with TCP is that we started off in a defunct studio in a community center and moved on to a 3,000 square foot studio and media center, and that's all your dopeness, being meticulous in your doings.
That's wonderful. And it's kind of stick right here a little bit. I'm going to kind of touch on the entrepreneurship side of it, because one of the things that a lot of people will look at, like in different industries, sometimes the entrepreneurship side is not always looked into it as much because it's like, oh, I'm in media, so I don't really have to, I just need to focus on what media does, and all the steps it takes to make it successful. So, and I like the point that you made, how you took the opportunity to start building it. Like you said, getting that nest together. You were building, you're getting pieces here, buying pieces there. And that really showed that diligence and you really trusting your dopeness in that and going forward. And so I really wanted to kind of hone in on that. And then for all the entrepreneurs that are out here that are watching and listening, because, these are the things that you do when when you have that desire to do something. And when you are ready to start rolling with it, the first thing you do is start preparing. And even with your example, Marquis, is like, you knew what you wanted to do. And you started to build and build and build until you were ready to go into the community center and start doing the small things. And so I just want to say that to you guys out there. Use this as an example. Like, no matter where you are in your business or your planning or your thoughts, just start piecemealing it together until you're ready to really launch it. And then you have something to stand on. And so, yeah, I just want to really bring that in. And so, with that, back to you, Marquis. When you're saying you started off in the community center, and now, a little birdie said that you got like what, 3,000 square feet now of a media center?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we do. This will be in
Congratulations.
January. Thank you.
January. That's wonderful. So, and I just have to actually mention this too, because it's like I saw who you are inspired by. We said Tyler Perry and Byron Allen. Byron Allen, he's out here just buying up everything. He's been doing his thing forever.
Right.
And
right.
he just bought something recently. Another station or some type of media outlet he just recently bought like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
But you talk about media mogul.
He's he's I would like to say he's doing the Lord's work. Because these local media outlets, they're controlled a lot by right wingers. And there's this stuff on news called must runs, and it comes down from corporate, and you have to run it on your network. And if your station, leans right, and there's some, propaganda-ish type news stories or content, it begins to affect people's thinking. And it's kind of insidious because you wouldn't think that you would see that in your local news outlet. You would think you would see that in Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, but no, it's very much so in your local news outlet. So what Byron Allen is doing, like I like to say, he's doing the working because he's buying up these local news outlets so that those messages won't be spread. And also, when you look at his news outlets that he has purchased, the diversity in those newsrooms, it's one of the most diverse newsrooms when you talk about local television. And that's something that is needed as well, because there's been plenty of times that I've been the only, let alone Black person, but person of color in the entire newsroom. So it's refreshing to hear him getting into the local news game, which is why it's such an inspiration.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And then with you building and kind of going, I mean, you never know, that could be next for you too.
hey, your mouth to God's lips. From your lips to God's ears.
And then we'll be seeing you again the next year. Be like, oh my gosh, he was on our show. Look at him now. It's always good to think, to think in a way that if you're already following the steps now and just seeing what your vision has been so far, it can only go up from here, So that's one thing I firmly believe in. So I hope that does happen, sooner than later for you, and that way you continue to make impact with your community and even, more, broader. And with that, I know that you got a special partnership recently. So let's talk about that partnership.
Yes, absolutely. We just got a partnership with a local foundation in central Pennsylvania. It's called the Emerald Foundation, and what they do, they are the leaders in esports in Pennsylvania. And what people don't know just yet is that esports has a huge journalistic aspect to it, whether it's writing blogs, whether it's streaming, or whether it's your basic newscasts talking about the latest games, latest technology. So we're combining our journalism aspect to their esports community. We will also be housing an esports team, both adults and kids, But unlike the other 16 areas, 16 clubs around here, we'll be focusing on the culture. So we'll be connecting kids that look like us, Black kids, brown kids, with esports, because it's more than just playing the video game or anything like that. Like, we're talking about $1 billion industry that we really don't have access to outside of just playing the games. And there's so much more to it that we're really looking forward to introduce not only these kids but these adults to as well.
Yeah.
Because we're opportunities, because for these jobs you really don't necessarily need a degree for. You just need the experience. So if we can be that conduit between, you know, a career and experience, we're really looking forward to being that again, whether it's with adults or with kids.
That's wonderful. And who would have thought that, I mean, because this is a big industry, like you said, you know, who would have thought that just, you know, sitting there playing, you know, what, back in the days, you had your Atari, you know, you had your Sega Genesis, you had your Nintendo, you know, then you had your PlayStation and all the different versions and your Xbox and everything. So who would have thought that playing this? I should have kept up with my Street Fighter and my Mortal Kombat. I could be
Yeah.
I could be right there making some money, like, you know, and a lot of times we think about it, and you have your kids, you know, and you're like, okay, get off that game, stop doing this, you know, you're always doing it. But now it's like, there's a purpose now. You know, they have something to strive for other than just being an adult gamer. You know, you can actually get into esports and really, you know, maximize the opportunity. So that's really wonderful that you have the partnership. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yes, and the crazy thing is, the crazy thing is when you talk about like the streaming and the gamers and the people that actually play the games, that's only 1% of the industry. Like, the gamers, that people that actually play the games, are only 1% of the industry. So the journalism, the developers, the testers, the bloggers, and everything, like, they make up that whole community. And the people that actually sit there and play the games and everything and stream it, they're the 1% of it. So like, there's just massive amount of opportunities with this. And it's funny because I had this conversation with my mom today, because she's like, oh, your daughter plays video games too much. And I'm like, I mean, but she's in advanced coding. Like, this is going to be her thing. Like, a woman in coding. Yeah. We just finished watching Hidden Figures for like the 10th time. You know, like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So
why not make it fun?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's funny, you know, and I mean, that's all STEM, you know, because, you know, even with the STEM programs that they had, I mean, right before the pandemic, you heard a lot about all the STEM programs they had in the schools and everything. So it's like these kids these days, they're like, they're almost like as if they're born with this geniusness in them for technology. And so it's like, why not develop it? And if they learn by way of playing games, then, you know, but they're getting that aspect, like you said, the coding part of it, and that's what they're going into. At least it's beneficial on both ends. You know, they're having fun with it, but it also making something happen out of it, you know, in the way of their understanding. And so, and speaking of that, you have a nonprofit side of your business too, that you work with the youth. So tell me about that, the name of the business, and I mean the nonprofit, and what you do with that.
All right. So our nonprofit is called Positive Media Academy. And what we do with that, we do journalism training. So I was on the board in Philadelphia for Philly Cam, Channel 66, which is the public access channel in Philadelphia. And while I was there, I literally saw people's lives change. in just a handful of years. They would come in with no media skills, and in just 2 years' time, they would learn how to shoot, how to write, how to edit, all of that, and then they would apply for these videographer jobs for the local news station. And just a year ago, I started seeing some of those same people now get jobs for Amazon. Now get jobs for Netflix. Get jobs for Universal. So I saw there people be able to change their lives in media in a matter of years. So I said Central Pennsylvania, where like there's a bunch of these small towns, and when you think of small towns, you don't think of a lot of opportunity. So again, with these jobs, you don't need the degree for, you need the skill set. So let us be that conduit and offer people literally life-changing skills so that they can change their situation and possibly end up working for Universal in 4 or 5 years. So that's our thing with adults. For the kids, we want to get them interested in media and journalism even more. When we talk about the decision makers in media, in news, and local news, when we talk about the presenters in media and local news, it lacks diversity, and that's by design. So we want to get kids involved early. We want to get kids educated in journalism early, so then we can begin to flood these newsrooms with Black and brown journalists, because the wheel's not going to change. If it bleeds, it leads. That stuff's not going to change. They're going to keep it the same because that's what's making money. Like, that's the cash cow. So if we can inject some more melanation, we will do that.
All right. And then also, and it's good with especially with the young kids that you're working with, because they're going to do that on social media anyway. How many times the kids going to pull out their phone, they're going to do the video, they're going to be on TikTok, they're going to live stream something and talk about it. So why not harness that creativity and bring out that journalist in them, or the next media mogul themselves out of it, and is really using those skill sets that are really already there. And yeah, why not? So that's wonderful.
Yeah, we're looking at it from the aspect of the entertainment realm, of the entertainment field, of hip hop culture, to be specific. When hip hop culture like really hit, you had all of these independent, hip hop artists and everything like that. People saying, "Hey, check my album out, check me out," and we're going through that same kind of media cultural revolution right now with podcasting. It's yo, check my podcast out, yo, listen to me. So like I love where we're at right now, because it feels like a throwback feeling, and it gives us a second chance really to get into this industry, get a hold of it, and really dominate it, instead of being exploited for our skills and skill set.
And that's another thing too, which you just touched on, with the digital age that we're in, it makes it so much easier, and just be able to just get in and just do it. Like, everybody has a podcast, everybody's streaming, everybody's doing something. But when you actually add the creativity part on it with the digital age and the technology, and you can really build something out of it and make a platform. I mean, like, just like what did Timbaland and Swiss Beats do with Versus?
Yep.
Just on IG itself, do a live and just make a whole, they went from doing it one way to now a big production out of it. But, it shows you how much you can leverage the opportunities that comes from your digital platforms. And with these kids these days, I mean, like I said, they're gonna do it either way. So might as well allow them to gain some skill sets out of it and really, take it to wherever the sky is the limit that comes for them.
Yeah, like this is I tell our students, and even the adults, I tell them like this is the time now where like we're in the tapes being sold out of the trunk era, like with podcasting and everything.
Yeah.
Like you can really make a living from independent podcasting by connecting with local business owners and everything like that. Like for us, TCP Network, we got $90,000 in revenue last year just from sales and promotions. So like it's real. You can really make a living out here doing this. You just have to connect the dots and really think about it on a community type level versus trying to take the nation on or anything like that. Like for us, we chose to focus on central Pennsylvania and that cities like that. That's my city, Lancaster. That's our state capital, Harrisburg. That's York. That's Lebanon, and then all those little towns in between. So we were we really wanted, yes, VHS tapes. Like this is that era, and like folks our age, are us older millennials, like we have that ingrained hustle because we were the ones that made the mixtapes and everything. We were the ones that recorded music off of the radio station and everything like that. So like all of this media stuff, we have it already ingrained in us, and that's why I just love where we're at right now, because we're in the wild west of content right now. TikTok and everything, and even Instagram, and still Facebook. Like you can become somebody of influence in your community, in your region, from the comfort of your own home, and that's where we are right now. And I just love that this new media, it's needed. It's very much needed.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm sitting here thinking, I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking about even with myself when you talk about the adults, and like I would say, what, last year this time, if anybody said, "Sacha, you're gonna do a podcast," I'd be like, "What? I'm not doing a podcast, really." And then my boyfriend, he was just like, "Oh no, you need to do a podcast," because I love doing lives. And especially, getting all into, the pandemic, and of getting on TikTok and doing my thing or whatever, I started doing lives.
Yeah.
And it was, building that trust with people that you didn't know. It came to a point they started asking me, advice and all this other stuff. And, we were on that live for like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And that's how that came out. And even when the whole idea came out, I was still kind of, baby stepping it and everything. But when I did it, finally, here I am, and create a whole production just like that. And so, it's good to kind of get in with those adults, because a lot of times what people don't really, talk about are the things that they may have wanted to do a long time ago and he never did it, when it comes to us adults, and I've always had people to say, "Sacha, you sound like you need to be on radio. You have the voice for it." And they're like, whatever, and it's crazy because what I was going to major in, mass communications. And when I went to school, and I was just, the only reason why I was going to do that because I was going to, follow the footsteps of my big cousin who was going into, mass communications over at Bowie. And I'm like, oh, if they do it, I'm going to do it, And so, but I ended up going into business. But then over the years, it's like always having an opportunity to speak in front of people, to do this and do that. Never liked it. Now I'm going after all those opportunities and doing those things. So when I sit down and really think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like had I went into it then, where would I be right now? But it's still never too late, because you're always in the right timing of your life to do something. And so now I'm just like, I'm up here doing a podcast, got a whole production booked up to October, got you up here, got everybody, and it's like, and people are seeing it. I mean, even somebody was like, "Oh yeah, you need to be on my Roku station," So it's so
Mm-hmm.
many different things, and I'm just like, wow. And I think about the saying that I always have, and it says, I say that what you always shy away from is the thing you end up doing.
Mm.
And I shied away from so many of these things. In my early 20s, in my 30s, and I'm not going to keep going on. I'm gonna stop right there. But so really thinking about that with the adults and really harness that, and then you're giving them another a fresh take on what they can do.
Yes.
Because right now the job market is, I mean, it got shaky because of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
but then you still have a lot of people that learned how to explore new things because of the
Yes.
pandemic. And so
Yes.
it's like if they're going through this exploration phase and like, oh wow, they can do that, then it's just like, hey, go ahead and do it. So that's really good that you have that nonprofit side of your business to really invest in your community and really give back to what you're doing, and how
Yeah.
that really can set you up for even more.
Yeah, and it's and it's funny. The never too late moniker. The
Yeah.
never too late moniker. I literally just signed on to do a internship
Mhm.
for a podcasting company based out of San Francisco.
Mhm.
And my friends, we were talking about it. And my one friend, he does the morning show with me. He just got into acting about 6 months ago,
Uh-huh.
and headlined his first show as Walter Lee Younger for Raisin in the Sun. And
Oh, wow.
and like we were going back and forth like, yo, we're doing this stuff in our
Mhm.
late 30s. Like I'm like, yo, I'm 38 years old and I'm doing this podcast internship. Like I own my own company. Should I really
Mhm.
be doing this? And he was like, bro, it's never too late. Like I'm
Yeah.
38 years old and I just started this acting stuff. Like, come on, man. We are not our parents. This is not the 80s. This is everything's new since the pandemic. Like he's one of
Right.
those, glass. He's one of those glasses overflowing, not half full,
Uh-huh.
like the glass is overflowing. He's one of those type
Right.
people. So like, yeah, just to hear that affirmation of like, oh, it's never too late, because
Yeah.
like you hear those stereotypical things. Oh, well, you're this age, you should have this and this. Oh, you're
Mhm.
this age, you shouldn't be talking about a pivot or anything like that. But when you look at some of the most successful people, whether it's in business or whether it's in politics, you see that people made pivots
Yeah.
at an older age. This isn't sports or anything like that. Like it's not a young man's game or
Right.
anything. Yeah, that affirmation
Yeah.
and that it's never too late moniker. I love that because I
Mhm.
even think about my mom. Like my mom, she just got into real estate and flipping homes last year. you know,
Wow.
um, 67 years old.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
It's definitely not. And that's the thing, like using this, I'm gonna use you as an example. I'm gonna talk to the people real quick. But just like Marquis said, you went and you did the internship. You own your own company, but you're doing an internship. But the thing is, people out there in the world, I want to say, because this is a strategic move as well. Because even though you're doing an internship, you don't know who you're gonna meet, in that moment to help set your business up even more. So people, like, when you think about these type of things and what you're doing, don't dismiss those things that, oh, I'm not going to get paid with an internship. I'm just, no, but you're learning more. You're learning skill sets. You're adding value to your business and what you're doing, and you're being strategic.
Yes.
And just like for me, I volunteer. I'm actually volunteering with Verizon for one of their micro mentors. So it's like mentor. I'm being a mentor for entrepreneurs,
Oh,
and I'm
congratulations
volunteering.
on
Thank you.
that. Hmm.
But it's I'm able to help because I love helping people.
Hmm.
So I'm able to help people. That helps me keep that balance. Because I can't do everything for free, but I could help you have that balance. But it's still a strategic move because you have a whole database of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So you don't know what type of doors that's going to open later on, in years to come or months to come or anything like that. You never know who you're going to meet. And so when you look at these opportunities, it's not only just a strategic move on that side, but depending on what else comes out of it, it could be a marketing move. That's the strategic move. Like, you always want to think about strategy and how to position your business for growth, even in the smallest things. So thank you for even doing that and bringing that up, because that's a teaching moment right there. People, they gotta know, like, it's not just your A, B, C, D. Sometimes it's that Z you throw in there that you're not expecting to do, but you're going to do it. But it could be the thing that makes the difference in everything you do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thank you for that. But I am going to let you give like some final thoughts. Like, if anybody's out there and they want to get into media, they want to get into journalism, no matter what age they are, what are your top 3 tips for them? He's frozen.
My top 3 tips would be: don't be the word no 100 times before you hear a yes. So don't be afraid of the word no. 2, always hone your craft. One thing that I always looked at the old school folks, whether it was Edward Murrow or Walter Cronkite. I looked at the new school folks like Stephen A. Look at the traditional folks like Lester Holt and a Brian Williams, and then even the local folks like a Ron Martin and James Cromell. Become a student of your craft, like whatever it is. It's not really about being the best, because there's a lot of great singers out there that will never get discovered. It's about becoming a student of your craft, being teachable. And then the third thing I would say is find a mentor, like somebody that can let you know the game, somebody that can introduce you to whomever you need to get introduced to, because a lot of this stuff is relational. I would say about 90% of our revenue sales is from folks that we have had some kind of prior relationship with. It's not really from cold calling or anything like that, or it comes from our many mentors that we have. So with those many mentors, don't be afraid to ask somebody to be your mentor. Like, nobody is going to drop out the sky and say, "Hey, I want to be your mentor."
Right.
That's not going to happen. But if you see somebody and if you like the way they move, and if you can align with what they do and who they are, take them out to lunch. Like, spend that $30, take them out to lunch and talk about your goals and everything, and ask them to be your mentor. Like, my mentor, Mr. Ted Darkus. He used to be a state representative in our area. Has helped me in places that both my degrees couldn't get me to. Now I'm pretty sure that they helped once I got there. But that man has put me in so many rooms and so many situations to flourish. I mean, I am forever grateful to him.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Yes, everybody. So just want to let you know that. So while everything resetting on, Marquis is in. So if you want to go ahead and find out more about the Cultured Professionals TCP network, you want to go to the website right here, www.thetcpnetwork.com. And Marquis, that was some wonderful tips that you gave. Wonderful tips. And yes, definitely don't be afraid of the no and ask, and just, that's all you got to do. Just got to open your mouth and ask. Sometimes some people may be happy that you even asked them to be a mentor, because sometimes it's like, oh, you see
Yes.
me, you never know what it may not be everybody, but you never know who you
Right.
may come across. And it's always wisdom. You, like you said, always be teachable. And that helps you to sustain your growth of your business and just the longevity alone. So I want to thank you so much for this wonderful conversation,
Yeah.
all the nuggets that you shared and everything. And if you just stay back 1 second, I'll be right back with you, but I'm going to go ahead and close out. And I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. All right, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this show of According to Sacha Podcast. And if you are out there and you want to be on our show, send us an email, according to Sacha at gmail.com. That is according to number two, Sacha, Sacha, at gmail.com. I spelled that for the people who's listening. And so, but anyway, but yeah, so we definitely want to see you on the show, whatever your business is, or if you're a creative, if you're an author, you're a speaker, you are an artist, whether you sing or you paint, whatever it is, if you are making money or you're doing some type of transactions, you are a business. And with that, being a business or entrepreneur, then you always have a seat here on the According to Sacha podcast. So definitely, send us an email. Or if you are interested in being a show sponsor, send us an email as well, and we can get all that information to you. And we also have giveaways that we're doing. We did one this month. We're going to do one again in July. So if you have products and services and you want to be an in-kind sponsor and you want to go ahead and throw some, some gifts or whatever out here in our little pot and give to the people, email us that as well. And then we'll, get all the information to you and get all your details, and we'll set it up for our July giveaway. But I want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. Remember to like and follow and share all of our platforms. Subscribe where you can subscribe, YouTube and all the streaming platforms. And we will see you again soon. Next Thursday, we won't be with you because that's, coming back from the holiday. But we'll be back with you on July 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be here with you guys. So remember to command your day and be great in everything you do. Bye, guys.